And welcome in, ladies and gentlemen, to another edition of the Top Podcast. I'm your host, Harrison Marino, alongside me co-host Dan Kiley. Monday evening, 8 o'clock. I have no juice today, being completely honest. I have no energy. I've been drained today because it's Monday. So hoping I can pick up some juice along the way. That's why we got some hot topics. Dan got some juicy ones in here today. Those always get like a little pick-me-up if I'm not juiced up. So we'll see how it's going. We'll see how it progresses. So I apologize in advance if I'm not the juiciest of all juices today. Dan, how are you doing this Monday evening?
I'm doing just fine. I don't necessarily have the most juice in the world either, but I am ready to go and ready to do a show.
Absolutely. Jonathan Williams in the comments said, y'all made me think my phone was ringing. The fight song is my ringtone. That is a true Georgia Bulldog right there from the doctor himself. Dan, hot topic number one today. What is the most exciting play in sports?
So this is tough, man. I wrote the question down and I thought I had it in my mind. I knew exactly where I wanted to go with this. But man, sports in general is really, really exciting. But man, I'm gonna have to go with a buzzer beater from beyond half court or close to half court or more. That has got to be, especially in an underdog situation, but hell, in any situation is fine. The thing that got me thinking of this was, and it wasn't necessarily a walk-off, but it was the home run that Trey Turner hit the other night against Venezuela. And like everybody was asleep in my house. It was late. I don't remember exactly how late it was. Probably around a little after 11, right, Jonathan? Jonathan was watching it as well. And I came off the couch and I was about to yell and I realized I couldn't make any noise, so I was kind of silent yelling. But having watched all of the World Baseball Classic games and then all of the NCAA tournament games, man, that the Furman upset was incredible. It wasn't necessarily a buzzer beater, but it was the turnover and then the shot. It just, I don't know what it is, man. Just those long basketball shots when they go in is just incredible. So I'm going to go with a buzzer beater. But there are a lot of different options to pick from. And Harrison, the board is wide open because there are a million to choose from.
Okay. I thought about this long and hard. I had two perspectives I kind of wanted to go with it from. And hearing your answer was like, okay, I got to kind of go one direction. I'll come back and hit this. The most exciting moment in sports for me, okay, gonna have to be UFC. I was watching the UFC pay-per-view on Saturday. Has to be a late round knockout. That is, to me, like the craziest pop, just kind of out of nowhere. The guy's getting beat up for 4 rounds, goes into the 5th round. He knows he needs a knockout. He's going to lose to the judges unless he gets a knockout. Those knockouts are really exciting. I've never seen a bigger pop. It always, it's amazing to me. So I got to go with that. But from a perspective of the most exciting play for me personally, there's nothing going to beat that last out against the Dodgers, Dan, when they, I guess it was a grounder to Swanson. I forget who it was to, but I just remember the ball got pocketed by Freddie Freeman and just that whole place erupted. I mean, even people at home. When we knocked out the Dodgers out of the playoffs, the Atlanta Braves, and went on to go win that World Series, I mean, shoot, I always look back on that series. I mean, Tyler Matzik striking out the side.
Wait, so that's your favorite sports moment of all time? Is that?
That's my favorite sports moment. Just looking back on it. I mean,
oh shit! I didn't know we were going there.
Yeah. That was just another perspective I was thinking about it of like Tyler Matzik having 2 on, striking out the side, elite, like just great moment, and then pocketing that ball and knocking them out of the playoffs and going on to win the World Series. I still have that video that Braves posted of that last out.
So the most exciting sports moment in my lifetime was freaking Christian Laettner hitting the turnaround against Kentucky. Dude, there has not been a better. I remember watching that game and being so upset as a little kid that they were about to lose, and Christian Laettner hits that. And whether you love Duke, hate Duke, whether you like Christian Laettner, hate Christian Laettner, hell, there's a 30 for 30 called "I Hate Christian Laettner." Okay, Christian, that shot. Anybody who is anybody who knows anything about college basketball knows that. And every single year it gets voted the best sports moment in history. And I mean, it is. It just was. In the context of the game is what makes it so great. But I didn't know we were going there. But
Or I wanted to go from two perspective because I was like, I got to throw this in there because that moment, I remember you definitely watched that game. I just have fond memories of the whole Dodgers series, man. Like, just all the times that beat us, it felt good to finally knock them out.
yeah, I Hate Christian Laettner. If you have not seen it, it's available on Disney Plus. It's available on ESPN, anywhere
Ooh,
you can. Um,
damn.
yeah, but I Hate Christian Laettner. If you've not seen it, go see it. It's incredible. But hey, let's get to hot topic number 2. Hot topic number 2. Outside of our circle of friends. So Brooks is out. Jonathan Jeremiah are out. Okay, out of our circle of friends. Who do you go to for quality sports information? Who lets you down the least? Like when you read this person's nuggets or whatever the case may be, you know it's quality information and you can go with it. Who is that guy? And it could be any sport, doesn't have to be football or whatever. Who is the one name that you go to? Harrison.
Well, dang. Not gonna go with the cop out and go with my guy Mike Fisher, who I work with or work for. Not gonna go with that. But I gotta say, there is
outside
something
the
about
circle.
reading outside of the circle. There is something about reading a tweet from Ian Rappaport and like, holy crap, like it's done. That may be a cop out in itself, but it's like
It's really not. That's what I'm looking
like,
for.
when he drops his Rappaports, it's like, done deal. Same thing with Woj, and I don't know who Dan's gonna go with. Dan may go with Woj, but it's like just like there's nothing in it. There's nothing like it because it's like until Rappaport or Schefter report it, I'm sitting there like deal's not done. Deal's not done.
Yeah, it's the Woj bomb. You're right, Jonathan. Harrison stole it. It's the Woj bomb. I mean, he is just so money when it comes to anything NBA related. If he says it is gospel, I mean, I can't remember a time where Woj posted something and he was wrong. Now, he has prefaced some of his stuff with, hey, this is what I'm hearing. It's not official yet, whatever, da, da, da. And I get that. But the Woj bomb, if the Woj drops a bomb on you, it's 100% legit. And the guy back in the day that used to be that way is Peter Gammons. Peter Gammons back in the day when this stuff really started popping and stuff started coming out, like where sports media, hot stove stuff. One of the first really, really good ones to do it was Peter Gammons. And, if you're not old enough to understand that, then I apologize. But, yeah, Jeff Passan's a good one. Brent Rollins is a good one. There's a lot of really, really quality ones. Like you said, Ian Rappaport. Adam Schefter for the longest time was really, really good. But now it's like he's kind of become a caricature of himself. And then, oh, gosh, what's the one that had cancer? Football.
Oh, Stewart.
No.
Stewart,
No. Help me out. He's Schefter. It's Schefter and him. Chris Mortensen. Chris Mortensen used to be the gospel for NFL news. Obviously, since his health has been in decline, and he's kind of taking a step back, and Schefter is kind of taking a spot. But yeah, there's so many good ones.
So many. I mean, I'm gonna say this because I just from my time kind of going around and looking around the news cycle, I will say this: Seth Emerson within the Georgia space, Seth Emerson and Jeff Santel are two of the best pure writers. Like those people those two just put out tremendously written articles. And it's kind of old school journalism in the sense, like when you go back and you think of journalism, to me, those, old school type of way of long, like novel type deals, articles, and it's different. So I want to put that out there because that's like, the Athletic. There's a lot of good content on the Athletic. A lot of good content on the Athletic, and it definitely has its definitely gets its people because, like I said, it's a different type of journalism than what we see today. But yeah, Dan, I had a feeling you're going Woj bomb. I probably shouldn't have predicted that. I should have let you take it. But I was like, Dan's definitely going Woj. Now that I think about it, I don't see Dan going any other way. But Dan, what is your rant of the week?
Well, I think it's safe to say that Harrison just called me extremely predictable. That's fine. My rant of the week, and I haven't done a rant in a couple of weeks, and this rant kind of hit me over the weekend. And I'm not going to do any name calling or anything like that, even though sometimes I really want to. And I say scouting services, okay? And it could be football, it could be basketball, it could be baseball. But the more you're around it, the more you start to realize what amount of bullshit it is. I put rubbish in here because I was going to keep it clean, but I'm not going to anymore. It's just complete bullshit. You These people, it seems like anybody with a Twitter handle can be an expert these days, and these recruiting services are hiring just about anybody. Now, there are some guys who are very, very good, like Rusty Mansell. I think Brooks is good at what he does, although he's not really necessarily like Rusty. He's not breaking names and stuff like that. He does to some extent. I'll just leave him out of it because he's my friend, and I think he does a good job. But you have some guys who are really good. But basketball, man, I really question what these people write and who they watch and what they say, because they will write an article about this team and say this team is great. And then you'll go out there and beat the hell out of them. And, then all of a sudden next day, article about how great they are, but they don't talk about how they just got absolutely boat raced. They're covering these shoe teams, and everybody knows about the shoe teams, but there was a specific shoe team that nobody wants to play for, and they're terrible. And they went 0 for 4 this weekend. They maybe won a game, and they might be 1 for 3, but they got beat the hell out of every single game. But on their Twitter, it's like, hey, we're going to post their pictures everywhere, talking about how their kids are elite. I'll talk about my son's team, for example. My son's playing for a team called the Norcross Heat. Every single time that they go out, a different player has a great game and is the reason that they win that game. And I think teams like that are incredibly talented and incredibly difficult to beat because you can't focus on one player. It's a different guy every single time because they're all that talented. And you see these other teams where it's one guy, and they're going to write all these articles about that one guy, but to beat that team, you just shut that one guy down. And, I don't know what it is. Like, part of me thinks that they're getting paid to write about these specific people. Like, these parents are like, hey, I'll give you money to write about my kid. And I wouldn't put that past the low lives that you see. And the other thing is, and this is a Brooks word, and if you don't know what it is, I'm not going to tell you verbatim what it is, but how are these guys who are naffs, just complete naffs, writing about what an elite basketball player is? It's like, bro, you can't even dribble a basketball. I know for damn sure you can't hit the rim with a basketball. So you're going to tell me what an elite player is and what an elite player isn't? I don't know. Every single gym that I walk into, I've coached for a really long time, and I've been blessed with the ability to see talent. And I'll watch a game and I'll say, man, that kid's really good. I like what he does. Never see an article written about him. And then I'll read the articles about all these different kids and I'll watch these kids play. I'm like, they're not good. They just take every fucking shot. And I mean, you'll see an article like, oh, so-and-so scored 30 points for this team this weekend. Yeah, he took every shot. He made like 10 baskets and shot 45 times. You're going to tell me that's an elite player? No, you were box score scouting. You just saw it and then put a picture up there next to it. It's lazy. It's, the thing that makes me the most angry is kids who play the game the right way. I will watch, and I am not talking about my son or anything like that. I'm talking about I watch a kid play the game the right way. They are distributing, playing great defense, being a team player, making sure everybody's involved. They take on the assignment of guarding the best player. At the end of the game, they may have eight points, but they've got about 7, 8 assists. They've got 4 or 5 rebounds, 4 or 5 steals, made really key plays at really key times. You don't ever see an article written about that kid because he didn't put up 35 points. But to me as a coach, I'm going to build my team around a guy like that. And I think that's one of the things that's really missing. And I think that's one of the things that's really disappointing for me is I see kids out there playing the game the right way, and they don't get articles written about them. However, the kids who play the game the wrong way, who are selfish, don't want to play team ball, guys who I wouldn't want anywhere near my team, they get all the pub. And that's really, really frustrating and really, really disappointing. And, I see it less in football. However, it's not – it does happen in football. Cannon has started going to some of these camps, and you're watching these kids, and the kids that they're writing articles about are not that good. Obviously some are. Some of them are elite. But some of them are just absolutely terrible. And I would put my son up against some of these kids every single day, and he would walk away from them. So I don't know. It's just really really frustrating to watch some of the articles that get written, and I don't know what's behind it. I think that these people are just dumb and they don't understand sports. But hey, like I said, if you have a Twitter handle, we'll follow, and you can just write whatever you want. So that's my rant of the day. Uh, I didn't yell and scream or anything like that, Harrison, but I think it was pretty. I think I got my point across.
Absolutely. I just looked on Twitter. Here's a take for you, Dan, real quick. If you want to throw one in here. Cam Newton is throwing at Auburn's pro day.
That's your mic, dude.
That's mine.
Mute your mic. See what happens. Oh yeah, that's Harrison's mic. His potato mic has gone garbage. But he was about to tell us something great about a Twitter post that he just saw, and I hope he can get his audio fixed really, really fast. Because I just ranted and I was out of gas out of my rant. So I'm hoping he gets the stuff fixed. But we do have a good rest of the show as soon as Harrison gets back. And I do want to hear about the Twitter post that he found. But we are going to talk about Kirby Smart and his ability to build a coaching tree. And one of the things that Harrison has in here in the notes is Nick Saban got really, really, really popular for rebuilding and revitalizing coaches' careers. And he still is doing that to some extent. But however, Kirby is starting to do that as well. And Harrison wanted to pose the question, is Kirby going to be able to do that at the level that Nick Saban did? I think there's a real strong possibility that he does have the ability to do that. And I want to wait for Harrison to get back on before we proceed with the conversation. Also, are you back, buddy?
We'll see. I'm on AirPods now.
It's better than it was. So tell me about your Twitter post.
It out with that one. Well, anyways, real quick, I'm going to hit this quickly so we can get into Georgia's segment because that's what everyone's here for. Free agent quarterback Cam Newton is throwing at Auburn's pro day. Why not just have your quarterback throw? College quarterback. Just my thing. You know, like, I know you ain't got no one going to the draft this year at quarterback for Auburn, but bring a 32-year-old vet.
What's the purpose?
That's my question. It's like, I just saw that pop up, Dan. But anyways, let's hop into Georgia. Yeah, Dan. I did want to talk about the coaching factory that Kirby Smart was or is looking to build here at Georgia.
Hold on. Before you start, Robert, what did I do? What did I do, Robert? Oh, I don't know. All right. So, yes, we were talking about, can Kirby's coaching tree and his rehabilitation program be as strong as what Saban had? Take it away, sir.
I mean, Dan, we already look at it. Let's look at some of the successes here that Georgia's had. You obviously had Mel Tucker, first guy to go there from a DC to a head coaching job. You had Sam Pittman, who I did put down on the notes. Forgot about somebody. I knew it was somebody. Just now hits my head. Sam Pittman, obviously, offensive line coach to head coach. Dan Lanning goes to the head coaching job. Shane Beamer, who it's up for debate. Shane Beamer did not take a head coaching job right after Georgia. He went to Oklahoma. Pretty much a lateral move. Then got a head coaching job, and now you have Buster Faulkner, who served as an analyst to an offensive coordinator at Georgia Tech. So that is a promotion, not a head coaching job. But when it's all said and done, when Buster Faulkner if he does get a head coaching job, I think most people will attribute that because of kind of what he learned at Georgia. Now Georgia, breaking news of the day, hired two former offensive coordinators, one from Clemson, Brandon Streeter, and the second from Dan's favorite college, Darnell Dickey at Texas A&M. I mean, on the surface, they're going into analyst roles. You know, they are going to fill the role that Buster Faulkner had, that Mike Bobo had. So, you know, with the they ain't here for nothing. It's not a guaranteed promotion to being a position coach at Georgia and offense coordinator at Georgia, but there has been some recent success. Now, granted, a lot of the recent successes of analysts, position coaches have been Kirby Smart guys. These two are not Kirby Smart guys, on paper.
Well, that's fine. I really like the Streeter pickup. I think that is a guy who can come in here and he can fill the Buster Faulkner role very well. I think he, like you said, he was the OC at Clemson. It's not like he was the OC at Northeast West State University. Okay, he was at a major program. There are things that they do inside that program that maybe we can incorporate in what we do. There's things he's seen that he knows. I think this is a really, really strong person to bring in the building. Darnell Dickey, I obviously don't know very much about him. I don't hate Texas A&M. I hate Jimbo Fisher, just for the record. For anybody who's an Aggie fan, I don't hate you or your school. I just think your coach is an absolute freaking clown. And I wouldn't let my son anywhere near that man. So, yeah, I don't know about Dickey. I think he'll be extremely happy to get away from Jimbo Fisher. However, if you're at a school like Texas A&M or if you're at a school like Clemson, you can coach. And you may have gotten fired, but you didn't forget how to coach. It just didn't work for you. Come in here, get around Kirby, get around the rest of the staff. And the one thing that I think that the one thing that I have to say that I've really noticed is that Kirby brings in a certain type of person that meshes well with everybody else. And I haven't really seen that backfire. Like whenever Mark Richt brought in Jeremy Pruitt, whether, he's a good coach. Obviously, he didn't get along. Now, if you're a Georgia fan, you have to give Jeremy Pruitt a lot of credit because he rubbed a lot of people the wrong way, but he got that damn indoor facility built. He threw a temper tantrum in the building and pissed everybody off, and that ended up leading to his exodus. But he got that indoor building built. But other than him, I don't remember anybody coming into that building, whether it be on Rick's staff or Schottenheimer maybe. But nobody under Kirby's staff where he came in the building and everybody hated him. It seems that Kirby's done a really good job of vetting these people and bringing in people that mesh. So I think – somebody like Streeter, obviously he didn't have the best time at Clemson, right? But I think he can come in here, be really successful. And I think within a few years, that man is going to leave here either, maybe ascending to the offensive coordinator role, depending on what Bobo wants to do, or he's going to end up being an offensive coordinator somewhere else.
Yeah, and the interesting thing about Streeter is, he's a Clemson guy. He was with Dabo Sweeney for I believe 6 years it was. Started there in 2015 as the quarterback coach. Didn't leave till 2022, which was his only year as the offensive coordinator there. And despite what people thought, I did not know this. I probably should have, considering that Clemson's offense in 2021 was not very good. Streeter was actually an improvement on the Tigers' offense. Got their scoring up to 33.2 points per game, up from 26.3. But then again, as of right now, he just looks like a stopgap. Didn't get it to where Dabo wanted it. Go bring in Garrett Riley, and off you go with, in my opinion, I think we've talked about it on the show, the home run hire at coordinator this offseason was Garrett Riley, being able to pull him away from where he was. I thought his next job would be a head coaching job, but no, he got a Power 5 offense coordinating role over there in Clemson. So I do have hope, and like Dan said, Kirby's done a really good job of bringing these coaches in. And he already has a track record of, providing these analysts with promotions, whether it's in-house or out, somewhere else in the world of college football. They go over there and learn from Georgia like people did at Alabama for such a long time. So, Dan, I did not put this on the notes, but I did want to talk about it for a little bit because it's something we didn't touch on. Was Pro Day. Obviously, Stetson Bennett, I think, was probably the person that most people talk about in the sense that had a really good day. And then you had Jalen Carter, who everyone's like, every national media person is kind of selling their stock on him in a sense. So when I watched the performance, and you brought this up in our text chat, and Jonathan talked about it at length last week, people are talking about the prospect, but not talking about the person there.
Well, yeah.
Most important of all.
Yeah, I think it's you nailed it with that, is that something has obviously gone really wrong in his personal space, in his head space. And, whether it be the incident that happened, if it's just weighing on him, the loss of two good friends, something is not right. And I think that's the one question that nobody's asking, and I think it needs to be asked. Is he okay? And like I think he's a tremendous football player, and I think he's going to be fine wherever he goes. But I think somebody needs to start asking the question: is he okay? And making sure that he gets. I mean, Kirby said in this press conference it has been very, very difficult for the players, and some of them are having a really hard time accepting this and being able to not listen. My brother died, and one of my best friends. The good thing that he did for me was he would always ask me if am I okay, right? And just hey, if you want to talk about this, whatever, he was there for me. And I just hope that he has somebody that's in his life that's asking him, are you okay? Because at the end of the day, sports don't matter at all. And what's most important in this world is the human beings, the human part of it. And he is a human, and that's got to be extremely difficult. And I'm not putting any blame on him. I'm not putting any guilt on him. I'm not doing that. I'm just saying he must be feeling some type of way or something. And I just want to make sure that he's okay. Hey, listen, if he's not doing well at the combine because he's not taking it seriously, then that's his problem. And if that's the case, then that's the case. But more importantly, I just want to make sure somebody's there asking, are you okay?
Football comes second in this situation with Jalen Carter. We haven't discussed it much. We wanted to let the investigation play out, and it did. And want to talk about that because that kind of has been the missing piece in all this discussion is how's he doing personally. So Dan, let's knock out a few more things, then we'll let everybody go. Nolan Smith, I think right now is looking like a consistent first round draft pick. I mean, dude showed some athleticism. Obviously, we're in that fast 40 time. I think it was 4.39, 4.37. I forget what the exact number was. Obviously, I wasn't not as prepared, but I mean, I'm excited to see Nolan Smith go to the next level and play.
Yeah, I hear you, Rude. And listen, I know I may not be good a fighter as you are, but I'm heavy, so you can use me if you need to. No, hey, listen, I have seen Nolan Smith getting a lot of juice recently, and he's moving way up the board. And if I'm not mistaken, it wasn't Brian Finneran. It was the former offensive lineman for the Falcons, and he's the Alabama guy. He's on 92.9. Oh gosh, what's Mike Johnson? Mike Johnson talking about giving me some Nolan Smith at 8 for the Falcons, and Jonathan Jeremiah, and in our group chat, we haven't talked about the draft in the last couple of weeks because we all have very different takes on who we want to see. Harrison is the biggest white boy defensive end stand in the history of football. He wants Van Ness so bad. But I think it would be kind of cool to see Nolan Smith go there, but he probably won't.
I mean, with Nolan Smith, it's weird because he started to get some conversation about sneaking into the first round even before the combine. Like, oh, yeah, the evaluators are saying, like, yeah, this guy could be a secret that no one's really talking about. Goes to the combine, blows that up. Goes to the pro day, blows it up. It's like, whew, where's he go? I don't know. Some people say he's not going to go late. He's going to go mid first rounds. Shoot, I believe it was an ESPN mock draft day and him going to the Falcons at 8, just a few days after the combine. So I don't know where that positioning is, but it wouldn't surprise me if he is that kind of big riser in this draft class. I'm going to stand. If I'm standing by anybody, Dan, it's going to be Christopher Smith. I think he's going to have a successful football career. He's just one of those guys where
in number 8.
No. In draft class in general. My bad. That's just but
bro,
Christopher Smith is my guy that I think probably going to be a mid-round draft pick. But let's not overthink this. If you go turn on his tape, kid's a top safety in this class. I know he didn't run well. And I know the combine's supposed to evaluate, supposed to, or I forget, I'm losing the word here, but prove what you saw on tape or confirm what you saw on tape. It doesn't really do it justice. Combine didn't do it justice. I don't know what his pro day numbers came back as, but Christopher Smith, don't overthink this. Go draft the guy. But wait, which one?
No,
I think I clicked on one. You clicked on one.
I want this one because Rudes and I are the same person. Your faith in the front office is concerning, sir. I think the player, out of obviously Broderick Jones is going to be really, really good. But I think Keely Ringo, and like you said, stop overthinking it. The guy is freaking huge. He's strong as hell. He's fast as hell. Like, he can match up with big wide receivers. You can put him on the big, strong guy. I think Keely Ringo is going to be a really, really, really successful NFL corner. And I think the fact that he's as big and strong as he is one of the most overlooked things. It's great. Like Sauce Gardner is a tiny little dude that can fly, and he's done a really good job this year. But those guys typically don't hold up long term. You can look at a guy like Richard Sherman, and I know a lot of people had a lot of shit to say about Richard Sherman, but Keely is stronger than Richard Sherman, and he's bigger and faster than Richard Sherman. I think Keely Ringo has an opportunity to be really, really special.
I like Keely, and I think it's the case with Keely where everyone talks about with Keely. It's like, oh, he needs to work on being able to flip his hip and run in space. He looked fluid at the pro day, didn't look as great as a combine. Had a lot of people impressed at pro day. I think it's one of those things where there's going to be some NFL coach out there that says, hey, I can fix that. I can coach that. And tells his GM, hey, go draft this guy in the first round because he has all the traits except he needs one little refinement, and we can go fix that. But that's kind of our little pro day recap because we know with our shows on Monday, we didn't catch the recap because it was before the pro day.
So I did see something earlier. So Carlos Medina, if you don't know who he is, he's on 680 The Fan. They call him Front Office Lows. He's extremely good with the cap. He's really, really good with the draft. He's going to have his own. He does it every single year. He does his own big board and his whole draft thing, and he does a write up on all the different guys. Really, really, really good. And I'm going to mention this because this is going to make Harrison smile a little bit. He said because of everything, and this goes to Jeremiah's point. He said because Atlanta has had the ability to address so many different things in free agency, he says I'm going to go out on a limb and say take your running back from Texas at number 8. He's like, I would be okay with that at this point. And he gave some reasons why, because basically you get the 5th year, you can use up all 5 years and get rid of the guy. But he thinks he's going to be the most dynamic back and whatever. I know that I think they have him middle of the first. Is that right, Harrison? I know that's your boy.
I like Bijan.
Bijan.
But me personally, I'm not a fan of taking a running back in the first round.
I'm not either. At this point. I'm not either. I'm just saying Carlos, he said to do it.
It scares me. I mean, just my philosophy, Dan, I would rather go get a guy that can play on my roster over 10 years than rather someone who can play on, for 5 years. Because long-term approach, unless you're in a win-now situation, which there are teams in the NFL that,
the Falcons are.
Yeah.
The coach is on the hot seat.
There are teams in the NFL that are like, hey, we're one piece away. We need a running back. Okay, we can go spend a first-round pick on a running back and be fine with letting him go in 5 years. But for a franchise like a rebuilding franchise or someone who's coming out of a rebuild or close to the end of a rebuild like the Falcons, I don't know if I would be a fan of a running back at 8. Trade down maybe. And like Stoddard says here, I'd go receiver instead of running back. I agree with that.
Hey, let me ask you a question because I know that you did a write-up on him at one point. JSN, Jackson Smith and Jigba. So I have seen him really high, and I have seen him at the back end of round 1 or even in round 2. I think he's extremely talented. Why would he not be in play in the top 10?
Injuries. That injury that knocked him out last year, I think, has concerned some people. There's some questions about whether he was able to go and whether or not he didn't go, I believe. But, I mean, shoot, we talked about it last offseason, Dan. What he did in the Rose Bowl against Utah that year, insane.
He's a big dude.
That was a top 5 pick at everyone thought that was going to be like the Jamar Chase, like this really good receiver that everyone's going to get hype up over a year. And then with injuries, wasn't able to play. I take him. I take him at 8. I know they're talking about the Bears at 9, taking them to pair with Justin Fields. I sent our group chat a video of basically a highlight tape of Calvin Ridley. I'm like, man, imagine if he wanted to stay in Atlanta, just like what that would have looked like. And I know, it's all hypothetical, but Calvin Ridley would have been great. I think would have been perfect for what this offense kind of needs with Drake London in Atlanta. And it just sucks that he didn't work out in Atlanta. But, with that said, Dan, 35 minutes in, a short show, abbreviated show, but we got everything in. We actually went kind of fast today. Didn't fill too much air, but that's all right. It's an off season. Y'all got other things to do. Dan has other things to do. I have other things to do. So we're going to cut y'all loose. Hey, I know Brooks Austin is live at 9 o'clock. So, hey, get a little under 30 minutes pregame. Before that, Dan, where can they find you?
You can find me on Twitter at DanKiley3. I have no idea what my Instagram is. I think it's Dan Kiley. I have no idea. But
I don't even plug Instagram, man. I mean, shoot, I don't even use Instagram that much.
I don't know.
But
It's Dan_Kiley3 on Instagram. Actually, that's where I put a lot of cool pictures and stuff like that. So if you ever want to check that out, you can. But
speaking of Instagram, followers. Dan, speaking of Instagram, we are going to put Dan in charge of the socials for the Top Dog Talk podcast. I got to send him the passwords and all that. So make sure you go follow the at Top Dog Talk Pod on Twitter. And give me a moment as I find the Instagram. Top Dog Talk on Instagram. Pretty simple. Dan's going to be taking control of those two things, helping out with that, keeping those things active. Because right now I've done a poor job of keeping those two accounts. Can't even run my own account at some points, but we're going to let Dan take control of that. Rude says, if they take Levis, I will scream. I think a lot of people.
I think you'll be all right. I think he'll be gone before we pick.
Hey, maybe maybe Anthony Richardson goes number 1. I don't know. It could get crazy. But with that being said, guys, we'll talk to y'all next week. Monday, 7:30, unless otherwise told. I pushed it back tonight because I had some things going on. But with that being said, guys, talk to you next week.